So good morning everyone, we're off today to spread fertilizer. I'm going to show you how we put our fertilizer on our crops, keep them green and healthy and growing. It's a very expensive process this year, as I'm sure some of you already know through the news reports. So these tanks are in a bund, which keeps them nice and safe. So if there's any leaks or anything, it's all contained, and you can see the water line in here after the rain over the weekend, which very much needed and well received. So we can suck that out with our wee tanker and spread that on the field just as we would with the rest of it. Even though it's mainly water, it just keeps us right and keeps us safe. We also have our chemical store and our diesel tanks in here now, which means they're all bundled as well, just for safety in case there's any leaks. It can't go anywhere. The important bit is we've had a weekend of steady, consistent rain. It's done absolute wonders, and really is a game changer in how the crops can perform for the next few weeks compared to if we had missed that rain. So we're just going to head out to the field here now, get the sprayer unfolded and the computer filled in ready for action, and show you how we put on our fertilizer. Just pulled into the field and there's a hissing noise coming. So I turned the sprayer off to see, and look behind me, and there was a haze coming up from somewhere. So I reckon we've got a burst pipe of some description. I'm gonna have to have a look here now and see. And always on a bank holiday. Camera doesn't really do it justice. This step in the tank is covered in a mist of oil. Not good. I'll have to get some of these covers opened up to see. You can see there. There's oil coming from somewhere. The end result is I'm going to get covered in oil trying to find out what's going on. It's clear, so it's hydraulic oil. Some of these pipes run down the chassis here. Must have rubbed and burst, or else there's a couple of steel pipes that may have a hole in them. We'll have to investigate further and see. The joys. So we just pulled that pipe down, ran up and turned her off as quick as we could again. So this wee boy is the one that's to blame. It goes on up there and runs God knows how far. Oh yeah, all the way to the back. So we've got her stripped all the way front to back there. You can see the pipe dripping, and just the end of it to take off here. As usual, as a farmer, when you're trying to get that out of the way up in there, you ask the question of, could the engineer not give us a wee call and explain how you're actually supposed to do that when the machine's built? It's alright when you're making it, but to get in there to take the cable ties off, never mind to get in and put them back on, not fun. What it really means is that the fair chance the cable's not going to go back on the way it come off. Camera focus. One pipe had been rubbing on the other here, just there, and I rubbed the rubber off, and then the metal underneath rusted and corroded and weakened, and the pressure of the oil then has blown a hole in that, and that's what we have to fix. So we've got the pipe off. Let's enjoy the walk back to the yard now. Make a few cone falls, look up Google, See if we can find somebody open to fix a pipe on May Day bank holiday Monday. Fingers crossed. So thankfully we're back. New hose in hand and a free pen. So big thanks to AHM Hydraulics just outside Ballinhinch, who provided with a great service on the May Day bank holiday. Said they're always open, so anybody needing anything out of hours repaired, give them a shout. I'm very grateful to them on this day to get me up and running again. So we'll get her back on and see how we get going. So, just got her fired up. All seems okay. We've only lost about 3 hours of the day, but at least we're back operational. And a big thanks to AHM Hydraulics for allowing us to get going again. So we'll get her opened up here and ready for action. So now we're in and ready to rock. We just need to pick our field, and we're 24% nitrogen. And this just means that as I go through, I now have my records complete for all the regulations and quality assurance and red tractor with white soaps, that we have this all up to date. And we're taking that from the weather station that's beside the house. It is really muggy today. No wonder it's 86%. So then on to the field conditions. This is a no-till field of wheat. Crop residue would be quite high because with all the straw. Soil conditions medium. Soil moisture is optimal after the rain, and the soil temperature is, well, 11.7, 12 degrees. It is after the crop has emerged. We're looking for wheat and stem elongation. So that gives us all our data in. This is the GPS map of the field, boundaries mapped out, the amount of liquid per hectare we're applying, so it's 160 litres to the hectare. And this is the boom of the sprayer. This will come on and off as we go, and we'll show you. That's us up ready to rock and roll. The idea of the liquid fertilizer is that we want it to drip out of the nozzles on the boom and run off the leaf of the plant and onto the soil. So we're trying to get it into the plant via the soil. So instead of seeing a traditional idea of spraying down the field in a real fine mist, just dropping onto the plant and trying to cover all the leaf area to protect it. In this case, we're not wanting it really to stay on the leaf. We want it to down onto the soil so that the roots of the plant take up the fertilizer through the soil, and try and minimise the scorch risk from the fertilizer burning the plant if it stays on the leaf too long and it was sunny or windy. We also add a bit of molasses into our liquid fertilizer mix, and this just neutralises the strong effect of the fertilizer on the soil and on the plant to stop it from burning or scorching, and just make it a wee bit gentler, as they would say. So hopefully that helps. It does make the product really sticky though. So that's that field complete. We hit the home button. You can see that we've applied 249 litres roughly. We're aiming for 250, so we're close, which is 826 litres in this field, and we've done 3.3 hectares. Hit the wee spanner, and we're going to close that event, and that will record my operating report, and then I can bring that back onto the desktop and print out my records. Here on a perfect day for our last application of liquid fertilizer on our wheat. It's rained all night, so the soil's damp, the crop's soaking, and it's really sort of hazy and foggy and damp and miserable looking, but the perfect conditions for what we're at today. So we're up here in the drilling trial plots at the moment, which is our 12 ways of drilling wheat. This is the Simtech plot. It's looking pretty good. And we're just out here reading the soil temperature. Well, the plots are looking pretty good. We've got the narrow tires on the sprayer now, so we don't run too much of the crop down now for the rest of the season. And we've got our dribble nozzles on there to apply our liquid fertilizer. So yeah, we're back up into the cab and we're just going to put in our soil temperature. And we've put our weather conditions in there as per normal. The humidity is really high actually today, which I suppose is given considering the weather conditions. So we've transferred that across. We've put in our soil and crop conditions, and now we're just going to put in our crop timing. And that's us pretty much ready to go. Useless Eustace's comments earlier in the year in the media were, you know, he was asked about fertilizer usage, fertilizer prices, and how could farmers sustain it, and his answer was, we don't need artificial fertilizer, we have enough organic manures to grow our crops. There's absolutely no way we could grow half the crops on organic manure. There is not enough of it. It is a valuable asset. It's vitally important to how we look after our soil and our crops, but there is not enough. Coincide that with the fact that governments and departments and politicians want us to reduce livestock numbers because they're supposedly harmful to the environment. Well, we need to increase numbers if we were going to grow all our crops with organic matter. So he's talking the greatest load of rubbish. Said if artificial fertilizer ceased to exist in the morning, the world would starve, because crop varieties, soil, everything is getting used without injection of artificial fertilizer. And some of these pictures here will show what happens when we miss a wee bit with the fertilizer, how yellow the crop is, how stunted the crop is. There is other ways around it to get a reasonable yield if you're an excellent farmer with excellent soil, which you have maintained and did all the things right over the last number of years to get us there. And unfortunately that is one of the negatives of chemicals and artificial fertilizer. Sure, we'll knock on the fertilizer and the crop will grow, which inevitably it did, but it's made the soil lazy and it made the crops lazy. Just like yourself, if you feed yourself with all the things you think you need out of a tablet and a bottle, you probably be alright, but your system gets used to that, so if you stop taking them you feel awful. But if you were taking a balanced diet and eating all the correct things and proper wholesome food, you wouldn't need any of those other things. But that takes time to reverse, just the same as the fertilizer. But inevitably yield will still be reduced. So at the moment when we're in tight supply of food in the world and in food crisis, cutting the use of fertilizer is absolutely the wrong thing to do. And governments indirectly are actually creating a famine for their people if they're not very careful. That may seem crazy, but that's basically what's out there. If the weather went against us in major food producing parts of the world in the next couple of years, and yields were reduced from fertilizer and chemical reductions due to their cost, their availability, etc., there'll be lots of people in the world starving. That's the bottom line. Just want you to take note of the colour of the wheat in this field here. It's a nice looking field of wheat, okay, but I want you to compare it to the colour of the one over the ditch when we go in there. This one had nitrogen applied in the middle of March, but the one across the road didn't get its first dose until the middle of April. But actually the one across the road is looking better. So it's interesting just how nitrogen timing is so important. So this is the field across the road that I was mentioning. Got its fertilizer about 3 weeks later, roughly. Looks much greener and healthier. It's starting to boot out there as well. There's near a wheat well out. So in theory this has had much less fertilizer so far. It looks much better. So that early nitrogen that we're putting on in mid-day in March, is it worth it? Now your crop has to come out of the winter okay. Spring wheat in here is coming on nicely now. It's just still to get its herbicide catch up, but it's fair motoring on here now. There was organic manure put down here before planting, which has really helped it. It's looking nice and clean. Plenty of tillers, thick enough anyway. We'll get this last bit of nitrogen on, that'll finish it off. We've just come in to take a quick look at the winter barley here. We get in from the edge and get a better look at it. It's evening up nicely there, blowing in the wind. Some of the heads aren't fully emerged yet, and others are quite well out. That's a good long head there right enough now. I'm well pleased with that. It's looking pretty good. This is Orwell. It's a nice variety, I like it. Good thick stand. It's just heading out nicely there. It'll be lovely to see this crop now in about 2 weeks, whenever the head sort of tilts over a wee bit. This is a field of wheat after potatoes where we have a clover trial undersowed in the wheat. It's thinned the wheat. It definitely grew. It was sowed on the 16th of October, the wheat and the clover. The wheat was drilled and the clover then broadcast over the top and rolled in. It has got a bit of a knock with herbicide there, but not that I was all that panicked about that. Because wheat's more expensive this year, we can't afford to be choking it out. But you can just see the clover in it there. Just to mention also that this wheat, this XT, has currently received 0 fungicide.